It's a new church. And this church involved a very famous event and about assassination of Abe Shinzo, the Japan former prime minister.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. My name is Kevin Rosenquist. As always, I am here with Jason Ho of Techlium. Today we're going to do part 2 of our tariff discussion that we started last episode. Jason, good to see you.
Nice to see you again.
So we're talking more tariffs. There were 2 words that Trump said that caused a bit of ruckus. What was it that Trump said exactly, and what was the issue?
So when Trump signed the agreement with China on the tariff dispute, on the trade dispute, Trump said 2 words: unification and peace. And that caused a lot of turbulence and in Taiwan. And because, Taiwan, China is in conflict, and Taiwanese always say they are fighting against the Chinese. They don't want to be part of China. They want to be independent at the minimum level, and the Taiwanese want to maintain their living style. They have free elections, and they can live on free world. Doesn't like China has very much limitations. So when Trump say unification and the peace, and always the matches China's claim, communist claim, they want to unite with Taiwan together, becoming one China, and peacefully. So unification and peace, it sounds like a match China's claim, and it sounds so horrible. Like Trump suddenly agrees with China and want Taiwan and follow China's, and the propaganda always talk about Taiwan and China should unite together as one new nation. One nation, not new nation. They unite back to the China and peacefully. So when Trump said the unification and the peace, that exactly sounds what China declares. So, and Taiwanese people are so worried. It seems like when Trump signed the agreement with China, also Trump agreed, and Taiwan should be part of China. Taiwan should come back to China, and following Trump's guideline, the unification and the peace. So many Taiwanese politicians check with U.S. Embassy in Taiwan. U.S. and Taiwan doesn't have formal relationships. So the agreement between U.S. and China, U.S. have a special institute called American Institute in Taiwan. In short, is the AIT. So many politicians ex-AIT, which is actually is the U.S. Embassy in Taiwan. And what does that mean when Trump says unification is peace? Does that mean Trump changed the U.S. policy about Taiwan's matter? Is U.S. going to support China to allow China to take over Taiwan peacefully, Taiwan become a part of China? Politicians definitely there. And standard answer for Rubio State Department is no. When Trump said the unification and the peace is nothing about Taiwan you need to worry about. So this is a very interesting development.
You got to remember, Trump doesn't understand what a lot of words mean. So he might not even understand what he meant by those. He probably just spit them out and didn't have any clue. So I wouldn't put too much stock into it, Jason.
No, unfortunately, it's not the case. And especially foreign affairs, this is any words, you have to be very careful. Any words you put out randomly.
He should be careful, but he's got a history of not being careful.
No, so that's the issue. Where are those words coming from? Where's
probably nowhere?
And the peace coming from? This is not a simple word. So very, very interesting development. So Taiwan is nervous. Also, Japan is nervous.
Why is Japan nervous?
Yes, why is Japan nervous? Because this is China, U.S., and the trade agreement, right? This is about China and American. This is about the Chinese American. This is nothing to do with Japan. Why Trump say unification and peace? Japan is so nervous. This is a very, very interesting development.
But again, I mean, and it's not it's just a temporary truce, right?
No matter what, but the unification and the peace, and it's very sensitive word to Japan, and the people probably and doesn't understand. Let me talk about the history a little bit, and it'll be long, but I try to explain as simple as I can. Also, I'm not reading any document. I cannot remember all the details correctly. I try to just say whatever I remember. Okay. So there's, we can say cult. We can say the religious organizations that's called the Unification Church. And Unification Church is very strong in South Korea, also very strong in Japan. And you cannot imagine, in Japan, probably about 600 and congressmen, and include and the Congress and Senate, the Japan called the Diet. This is two and Congresses. It's about 500 to 600. I don't remember the exact number. But inside 370, about 370 congressmen, congresswomen is coming from the Unification Church. It's a very, very powerful organization. And so for American is Christian, Catholic is majority. So when you talk about Unification Church, there's one thing I think will caught Christian and Catholic and their attention, because Unification claim Jesus is dead. Again, Jesus is dead. They have a new God. This is their founder. Their founder is new God. He replaced Jesus. It's new God. It's the Unification Church. It's a new church. And this church involved a very famous event and about assassination of Abe Shinzo, the Japan former prime minister, because the person killed and assassinated Abe Shinzo, and he claimed his family and they were victims from the Unification Church. And it's very hard to tell the story is true or false. And also it's hard to find the connection for the person assassinated Abe Shinzo, his family actual relationship with the Unification Church. But Japanese sentiment against Unification Church is very strong because there are so many victims. And you can imagine a religious claim that Jesus is dead also. And the Unification Church, they have a human God. And I think from the if we make a very and the strict standard, the human God should be a cult, right? Usually we have physical, we should be God. If everyone claim I'm God,
as far as history is concerned, yeah, when someone claims to be God, it's usually a cult. They're usually a cult leader.
So Japan and I think in February or March declare Unification is a cult, and Church is a cult. So it's banned in Japan. They make order, Unification Church must dismiss all their organization inside Japan, stop their operations. That should be very straightforward, right? It is very simple, right? But one person very angry. Probably know who is very angry. Trump very angry. Also, strangely, and one party very angry. That's Republican Party. Come again. Mega people, they are Christian, right? They are Catholic, they are faithful. Yeah, they always say they are Christian or they are Catholic, they are faithful, they believe in God and U.S. God nation. Come again. Okay, Trump Republican and majority Republican politicians extremely angry about Japan dismiss Unification Church. And Unification Church and has annual and event they call the peace event. Now you know the keywords coming from unification and peace. And the peace event and Republican majority Republican people and the congressmen, congresswomen, politicians, heavyweight Republican people, and many famous people, all the names you can imagine from the Republican Party, almost every one of them, including Trump. And they always attend Unification Church events. So here I want to say, if you join the Unification Church, I have no position against you. That's your choice. You want to believe a human God. You want to believe human is a God. That's your freedom. And I don't judge you. That's your decision. But for Christian and for Catholic, for Christian, that's different. Because once you declare I'm Christian, Jesus is God. And you still have Easter, right? And if Jesus is dead, why do you have Easter? You should abolish Easter. You should change the Bible. Jesus is dead. You should tell everyone. So once you support the people's claim, and even a Christian, even a Catholic, and I'm Christian, but I'm against the Muslim because this is everyone's freedom, everyone's belief. But as a Christian, I won't believe and Jesus is dead. I won't believe another religious, but I will honor other people's choice. So we support the freedom of choice, and we also keep our faith. That's very different matters. And if we keep our faith, we cannot support someone claiming Jesus is dead if it's a real Christian. But if you support the freedom of religious, yes, we can say everyone can make their own choice. So but also very importantly, every religious group should follow the law. So when Japan declared the dismissal of Unification Church, definitely this is domestic matter. This is their considerations. If Japan really doing something so crazily, so ridiculous, I think Japanese people will be angry. But I think there's a lot of pool in Japan. Majority of Japanese, they are against Unification Church. And majority of Japanese, they don't like Unification Church. Also, so many victim story widely report in Japan. And I cannot make a judgment those reports true or false. But once Japanese government made a decision, I think this is a domestic matter. And there's no reason, there's no position for Trump administration and for the Republican politicians to come to Japan to say, no, you cannot dismiss Unification Church. You must allow it to develop their organizations. You must allow them to take over the Christians, to convert Christians to Unification Church. This is sounds strange and odd, right? So that's why Japan is very nervous, because Trump say unification and peace. That's exactly the symbol of Unification Church. And that's exactly Trump was very angry about Japan. And I don't remember Trump said that, or some people close to Trump say that. And they already warned Japan. There's a severe consequences to Japan if they don't stop the dismissal order of Unification Church. And why do they care? Strange, right? Why they cares? Why they cares? That's a good question. Money. And the other part, I cannot talk over the YouTube. Money is first part, and the other part I will talk to you privately. And money, and because Unification Church is a great and made a great donation to Republicans. They are very familiar with Republicans. And also one thing people doesn't know, Unification Church and to a Taiwanese, I was born in Taiwan. I think Unification Church is more a Chinese or Taiwanese organization than a South Korean organization. So this is the reason. And this is the reason Trump was a unification and peace during the China and the US treaty, and Japan would feel nervous. Because if this is pure South Korea matters, and Japan wouldn't feel that because it's nothing to do with Japan. But the Japanese knows, Taiwanese knows, not many people, but the Japanese many people knows. Unification Church is deeply tied to Taiwan, supported by many Taiwan elites, founded and operates Taiwan elites. And their influence into Republican Party, we can find the traces. It's overlap with the Taiwanese influences and infiltration into Republican Party. Taiwan and the Republican Party, and in history, they are always friends for decades after the World War II. They're always good friends. So we can see those people strongly supporting Taiwan, also strongly support Unification Church. So they are overlapped. So for Japan, especially for Japanese government, the politicians we've been talked to, as I work in Japan, talk to them. And they understand the Unification Church and Taiwan has very, very profound connections. Even it's hard to prove, even it's hard to find any evidence to show that's accurate. But because that connections definitely would make Japan worried. When Trump say unification and peace, that the symbol of Unification Church, even this is an event between the China and America, because that's related to the Japan, that's related to the Taiwanese influence in Japan, Taiwanese influence in South Korea. So definitely, and Japan will feel worried.
Interesting stuff. All right, well, we are out of time for today. Jason, so great having you as always. Love the conversation. Looking forward to the next one. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.